Hi guys, so we're still keeping track of the New York City mayor's race. We only have 5 days left to witness the most historic mayoral race in New York City history. But not only New York, it's gonna be a historic win for the country. This is what democracy looks like. Right now, the poll now has, even after the two debates, Mamdani holds a commanding lead of 25%. He's at 50% with Cuomo at 25 and Silwa at 21. And the poly markets, they're all like through the roof. With Mamdani being at 94, at Cuomo only at 8%, and Kashi at 93, and Cuomo at 7. But we all know how polls can be misread and they can be an outlier. We all saw it in 2016, and we all saw it this past year with Donald Trump winning over Kamala Harris, and they all said she was going to win. Hillary was the same way, so we don't want to do that again. And let me tell you, for being the last days of Andrew Cuomo's political career, all he wants to do, instead of giving a hopeful message, his last message to the voters is hate, Islamophobia, and just divisiveness and just darkness. And it makes people that have lived there for a long time, that has been through his governorship, remember just a cruel, mean, vile Andrew Cuomo is. Like, people need to remember just the scandals and everything that Cuomo been through and what he actually did when he was governor for 10 years. People tend to forget. He might tout his experiences, but his experiences is the reason why New York City is in this mess in the first place. And they have tried so much to try to take Mamdani's lead out. They've been trying everything, throwing anything to the wall to try to take this guy down, but it is not going to happen. I repeat, it is not going to happen. And I say this, I'm only doing this comparison because it's true, but obviously both guys are totally different. These guys are totally different personalities. They both represent a different faction of their party. Donald Trump and Zohran Mamdani are practically the same in terms of their campaigning, their communicating, their structure of like just the messaging that they rely to their base. And Mamdani's doing the exact same way. Now I'm hearing the Zohran Mamdani syndrome. Well, you know how people are so used to saying, oh, you have Donald Trump syndrome. They're saying the same thing about Mamdani. Because everything they have tried to throw on the wall to try to take this man down has not worked. Listen to this. There was this story in the London Times that said, it was like a hit piece to try to take Mamdani out, where they said Blasio, the former New York mayor that supports heavily of Mamdani, saying that, oh, his policies are not going to work, they're unrealistic. And everybody was like, what the hell? I thought you supported him. Like, you're one of the closest and most, at least famous, known persons to support him. Like, what are you talking about? And then come to find out, listen to this. When you have the London Times, they're well known, they're well respected in London, especially in the UK. A lot of people read it around the world. You would think that they would actually do like discovery and actually like try to legit and say, hey, is this real? Like, actually do their homework. You would think someone with a credibility like that would understand. And no. And end up being fake, end up being an imposter. Blasio, once he found out, he was like, what the hell? And like he tweeted and said, hey, I demand the London Times delete this because this is not me. Like, I'm going to repeat it so many times. Like, I support Zohran Mamdani to the fullest, and he's going to be a great mayor. And I feel like his policies will be implemented, and it will make the city better. It will make the city go into the future. I was like, what the hell? So like, that was just embarrassing. It was a big backfire on the fucking right. And then they try saying like, oh, this guy, the way he eats, making fun of him, and like, which is his culture. by the way. And then they keep trying to use what's pissing me off, you guys, is that, listen, I want to reiterate this, and I want to make this clear. I support Israel. I support Israel as a Jewish state, and obviously they deserve respect, and they should be, nurtured and respected. But I do not agree of the Israeli government doing this genocide right now in Gaza. They have already killed 65,000 people in Gaza. We all understand that October 7th was a horrible, tragic tragedy for the Israeli people. We all admit that, and we all know it was Hamas, a terrorist organization. But that doesn't mean that Israel can keep bombing innocent civilians, point blank, full stop. We don't blame the Jews. We don't blame the Israeli people. We blame the Israeli government. Now, that's in the Middle East. The issues that we're having here, especially in New York City, is that we're having affordability crisis. We're having a housing crisis. We're having a rent crisis. We're having prices being so high, inflation. Affordability and safety is so important to anybody. Jews, Muslims, Africans, anybody of different cultures. We're all Americans. We all pay our bills. We all fucking struggle. And the fact, in the last days of Andrew Cuomo's political career, he keeps constantly talking about the Jews. We understand you're a strong supporter of Israel. We get that. There's so many people in America that support Israel. But in the past 2 years, what Israel has been doing to Gaza is just unforgivable and it's unacceptable. You got to understand that not only Jews is the whole population of New York. They're a big part. They're the second highest population of Jews, and the first is Tel Aviv in Israel. We get it. They must be respected and they must be safe. Okay. But also, there's also Muslims. 1 million Muslims. Muslims have outgrown and outbeat the Jewish population in New York. But there is a significant amount of Jews in New York. We get that. They're not the only ones. And the fact that he's constantly saying Israel, 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 it's just like turning heads. And it's just like, what the fuck? At the end of the day, Jews still pay their bills. Muslims still pay their bills. We all pay our bills. They're not the only ones that are going through shit. At the end of the day, we're going to keep coming back to the affordability crisis that New Yorkers are dealing with. And that's the reason why Cuomo is not gaining any ground in these last few days of this election. To the point where it's so embarrassing. It's such a downfall. Such a fall from grace when it comes to this guy that he has to go to Staten Island and beg Republican voters to vote for him. He wants to bitch about Mamdani being not a Democrat, that he's a socialist, that he's a Democrat, but then you're begging Republicans to vote for you. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? That means he doesn't have a base line to stand on. He doesn't have any policies that he has to beg the other party to vote for him, because in the primary, his own voters' constituent party rejected him and chose the Democratic Socialist Zohran Mamdani because he had a better fucking message. And now more into this video. So right now, Zohran Mamdani is in full swing. We all know that the polls have him 20 points high, 16% high, 16 points ahead, or now there was 10. There was last week where Cuomo gained some ground, and he was gaining, but it wasn't going to be, I already knew that. But then again, with that radio conservative guy, he made those racist jokes about him about 9/11. And instead of Cuomo being a former governor and trying to unite people, he actually laughed at that joke and continued and said, oh yeah, that's another problem. Can you imagine if Mamdani was in the seat and another 9/11 happened? Like, who the fuck says that? And instead of you being a former governor, actually being in politics forever as you claim, you should have stopped there and be like, hey, that's not funny. I don't support Islamic phobia. You know, we shouldn't say that. You know, you continued it. That's racism, and that's racist as fuck. We understand that you're a Jew supporter, but you understand that a lot of Muslims live in New York and they also get attacked too. They're not the only ones. Jews are not the only ones that get attacked. Muslims are always the ones too that people attack because, you know, the women, they wear gowns. A lot of people, when they're not white, they're going to think some different. They get attacked too, especially after 9/11. So that's bullshit. For him using 9/11 as a political weapon, Andrew Cuomo is such a disgrace. So as of right now, again, Mamdani and Cuomo and everyone else is trying to get all the voters as they can. And again, even though all the polls are showing Mamdani is winning, he's not taking any chances. And this is such a great guy. Like, he is such smart and intelligent person. Like, I swear, like, if he wins this race, the Democratic Party needs to honestly study his campaign and actually, like, really figure out, like, what this guy did to transform this election and how he literally beat this guy that's been in public office for like almost 50 years. And he's saying, listen, I understand that I'm ahead in the polls, but look what happened. Andrew Cuomo was ahead in the polls in the primary, and everybody thought he was going to be crowned as the mayor, or at least he was going to be just, you know, sliding along with this primary. And look what happened. Zohran Mamdani fucking destroyed him by 13 points. And all the polls were wrong when they were all saying he was ahead 40, 30 points. They were completely wrong. And he's like, can you imagine how Andrew Cuomo felt that night when he thought he had it in his bag and he didn't? He's like, I don't want to be like that. He's like, I feel confident, but I'm not going to take any chances. I'm going to canvass to the last fucking day until election day. That's a real politician. That's a real strategist. That's a real organizer. He knows his fucking game. He knows what the hell to do. People need to study him in the years to come. So right now, early voting has been enormous. This has been such an already historic election, and election day is not till next Tuesday. But early voting thus far on the 5th day has reached over 400,000 voters in just in 5 days. And that's already 5 times more than the 2021 election. Granted, it was COVID, but still, this is double that. That means people are optimistic, they're energized. And, you know, New York being a deep blue state, that means a lot of Democrats are going out there and voting, which is good for Mamdani. But right now, as statistics have shown, is that over 35-40% over 50 has voted. And that's also a good sign for Cuomo. But at the same time, we've seen so many people, 35% of older people said that they're willing to give Mamdani a shot. Because again, Cuomo has already been in office. People like change. People like new. People like new, fresh ideas. And a lot of people are saying, why not? At the end of the day, a lot of these old folks, they already done their job. They already done their part in society. They're retiring, or a lot are still working, and they're still struggling like everyone else. But they're also saying, listen, if he gets in, I'm going to be okay. Let's be honest. They're like, I'm going to be okay. We like change. It's time for a newer generation. The Democratic Party has been begging for a new leadership, younger leadership. And this is one of the results why Zohran Mamdani is being so successful right now. And right now, with people over 50, Mamdani is at 37%, Cuomo's at 31%, and Silwa is at 28%. So it's honestly split. So even if Cuomo tries to get the older vote, a lot of them are still saying, okay, we'll vote for you, but the rest are saying we'll vote for Mamdani. And that's just more votes going into the Mamdani camp, which is good for him. And that's the thing, like, people think that Cuomo has a lot of experience, and he does. But once people get to know more and really start paying attention, because in the primary during the summer, a lot of people were out of the city on vacation. And a lot of people now that are here, 5 days left into this election, are now paying attention. They have their kids in school now. People are working. They're paying attention now of what the candidates are asking, like what the candidates are proposing. And once they realized that, okay, he has experience, but this motherfucker had a lot. Cuomo had a lot of baggage. And the reason why he had to, resign in disgrace. For example, the nursing scandal, we also have to come back for that because this guy does not care. He doesn't take accountability for anything. And I feel like if he ever did, for one little mistake he did, people would actually feel, okay, he grown, he took accountability, let's vote for him. He would actually win this shit. But no, he doesn't because he's entitled. In March 2020, Cuomo ordered nursing homes to accept recovering COVID-19 patients, which resulted in so many deaths because those people that had COVID or recovering still had it, they were passing the virus to other old people. And a lot of people in those nursing homes were dying. And under the report from the Attorney General, the death toll was hidden. And he lied to Congress and how many deaths were reported. And then later on, a top aide finally admitted that he lied about it because he was afraid that the lawmakers in Congress were going to use that against him under the Trump administration. So what does that tell you with this character? He only cared about his own political virtues and actual people's lives. Screw him. And then in August 2021, the state attorney did an independent investigation of him. He really thought that I think it was Letitia James. He really thought that she was going to defend him and actually hid all the evidence. No. Once she actually started doing the independent investigation on him, she started finding out so many allegations about him and how actual bad and hostile the work around him was terrible. He ended up getting a lot of allegations of unwanted touching, suggestive comments, creating a hostile work environment, and later resulting in 13 women accusing him of sexual assaulting them. And later, in August of 2021, that's when he had to resign. Again, if you're so innocent, why would you resign? You fight it in court, but no. Once you know you have guilt and once you know you're pinned in all directions, if you really know that you didn't do it, you would fight it to the very end. But if you know you're guilty, you resign. And he did. And he resigned in disgrace. And that's what he's known for. A disgraced former governor. And all this talk about Mamdani being so unexperienced, I want to just make this clear. Zohran Mamdani is on his third term as an assemblyman. And he's in a lower chamber in the assembly. And this what he has accomplished as a young assemblyman and organizer. He's been organizing throughout this whole adolescence. And this is the reason why I feel like his organizing skills has really benefited him, honestly. Why right now he has over 100,000 people on the ground canvassing for him. That's amazing. To win successful campaigns and you get elected by having a message and a real straightforward, hopeful message. And that's exactly what he has. And Cuomo doesn't have that shit. And look, back to his experience. They want to keep bitching about his experience. This is what he has done in his third term as an assemblyman. He is a member of Astoria, Queens for third term now. He oversees 130,000 people. So it's not like he only controls 5 people. He's in charge of 130 people. So it's not like he has no experience in leadership. He helped get $100 million in bus and subway service for his district. And listen to this, guys. He helped get $500 million to help taxi drivers to help get their debt paid. Because at the time in 2021, a lot of taxi drivers were committing suicide because they were just in debt. Because, a lot of taxi drivers, they do struggle. They have to constantly hustle on the roads to try to get money. And, because Uber, Lyft, and all those delivery parts are now taking over and taxi drivers are the ones that are getting hit. Thankfully, New York City is known for their taxis, so it's not like they're ever gonna be out of business. But they were, getting affected. So a lot of them were in debt. And Mamdani went on a 15-day hunger strike in support. And guess who helped him at the time? Chuck Schumer. Obviously, he's the senator. And so he knows of Mamdani and what he's worth and what he represents and what he stands for. And the fact that he can't even fucking endorse him for mayor is pathetic. But yeah, he helped them out and it passed. And he secured $500 million for them. God bless him. And his biggest proposal right now, not only including freezing the rent for rent stabilized apartments, not only including universal child care that he wants to get, but his also main big top priority also is free buses for the whole New York City. People say it can't be done. It's impossible. Those are losers. You know, they never have any hope. Let me take this drink real quick. Sorry. And yes, it's coffee. I do drink coffee at night because I work all day. And it's cold. Let's be honest. It was rainy today. Rainy as fuck. Flooding all over in Brooklyn, I heard. And what people like, once people start getting to know him, is that not only did he get all this stuff with only being a lower chamber assemblyman, he actually helped to get the 5 buses free in each borough. So in each borough has 1 bus free. He did that, and he was just a low assembly member. And he got 5 buses free for these boroughs. And once that was done, he learned that once the buses were free, people would get on, so the ridership would rise. And crime actually went down by 40%. So people would just get in. So ridership was up, crime was down. That's exactly what he was aiming for. So it's not like this is impossible. He can get this done. Can you imagine if he's mayor and has this power, what he can do? And if he does all this as an assemblyman, can you imagine what he can do as mayor? It's going to be fucking amazing. This can be done. You just have to have the political will for it. And people are starting to notice that. And that's the thing. You know, Cuomo can keep criticizing him all he fucking wants. And I take this back to Zohran Mamdani is the Donald Trump. But obviously, it's opposite. Zohran Mamdani is a new. He's not part of the Democratic establishment. He's an outsider. He is a foreign Muslim. When I say foreign Muslim, he, obviously is something that Donald Trump hates. He hates immigrants. So if he wins, this would be huge. Huge, huge, huge. Especially where Donald Trump was raised and made in New York City. And now people are voting for a Muslim. That's crazy. It's amazing. And again, that's exactly what happened in 2016. People voted for Donald Trump instead of Hillary Clinton because Hillary Clinton, not only did she have baggage, but she was part of the establishment. She was part of the old guard. She's been in public office all her life. Donald Trump wasn't. He was unexperienced. Yeah, he was a businessman, but he had all his baggage as well. But he was not part of the establishment. He was an outsider. He didn't have any baggage in terms of politics, or he wasn't in public office. So people wanted change. And that's exactly what New Yorkers are begging for. They are hungry for change. Despite all the bullshit that Eric Adams and fucking Cuomo and Silwa can say about him, he's going to get elected because people want change. Even a lot of voters are saying, like older voters are saying, what the hell, give this guy a shot. I mean, honestly, we've been with this guy, Cuomo, forever. Yeah, we respect him. But, we want new leadership. This guy's offering new ideas. Let's try it out. New York City is that city. If you want to try something new, it's going to be New York City. What better way to start something new in this largest ass city in the country? And that's Zohran Mamdani. So right now, he's leading all in the polls. My prediction is, and I did this yesterday, I would say maybe, but my last voting tally, I don't know if you guys can see this, is that Mamdani would get 650, the majority of the votes, 650,000. And Cuomo would get 380,000. And then Silwa, being the Republican candidate, would actually get over 220,000. So he's actually splitting the vote. Cuomo has tried so hard to try to gain grounds with Mamdani, but it's just not working. Silwa, let's be honest here, he really is splitting the vote. He really is splitting the vote. He has tried so hard to get up there, and if Silwa was not in this race, Cuomo would actually be competitive with Mamdani, would actually be up there, maybe be a couple points off, but he's actually splitting the vote. People got to understand that there's a lot of Republicans that are trying to force Silwa out. But at the end of the day, Silwa knows his base. Silwa has a responsibility to the other candidates that are in the ballots for other positions, you know, in local state of elections. So he's responsible for them also because he is the top of the ticket. But he also knows his base. He also knows the Republican Party. He knows that in 2021, everything that Cuomo did in COVID, Republicans hated. That's one of the reasons Republicans hated even more the Democrats nationally during COVID, because they forced everybody to wear their mask. They forced everybody to take the shots. And again, Americans, we feel entitled and we're privileged compared to other countries because everything that we have here. And when you have especially politicians try to tell us and force shit down our throats and force things, we don't like that. And that's why Republicans hated Cuomo for everything he did. And one thing I would say, I always give credit where credit is due. Cuomo did pass the Gay Marriage Act, which legalized gay marriage in New York. That's one of his accomplishments. And obviously, Republicans are anti-gay. They're homophobic. Let's be honest here. And they hate also Cuomo for that. And there's some, don't get me wrong, there's some that, you know, they're coming to terms, be like, listen, we know, you know, we appreciate Silwa. He is a Republican guy, but we know he doesn't have any chance in this race, which he doesn't. So we might vote for the other guy that might have a chance of winning, which is Cuomo. We're going to swallow our throats. We're going to close our eyes, close our noses and just vote for him. Fuck it. But it's not going to be enough. Again, you have an independent, apparently a Democrat named Cuomo, you know, saying that he is a Democrat, but yet he's trying to beg Republicans to vote for a Democrat. Who fucking does that? You know, I'm just saying, I was just surprised, you know, being so much in public office. You would think Cuomo would just be better at this, but he fucking sucks. So, it is what it is. We're going to have a new mayor in New York City in a couple days, and that's Zohran Mamdani. All signs lead to it. He had, you know, like I said, he has a forward message. He talks about affordability. And that's what people are honestly struggling about right now. That's what people care right now, is affordability. He might be new, but people want to give it a try. That's what democracy is. If it doesn't work out, in the next 4 years, vote him out. As simple as that. That's why elections are important. That's why America is the greatest country in the world, because we get to vote our politicians. And if it doesn't go well, vote them out. Period. So thanks for watching, guys. If you guys have comments, leave in the comment section. And if you guys like the video, please like and subscribe. Thanks.